You know that moment in a group of friends, or worse, at a family dinner, when someone starts talking deep, using words nobody understands, citing authors nobody has read, just to suck all the oxygen out of the room and feel superior? That pseudo-intellectual who doesn't debate, he lectures? And you just sit there, feeling stupid, not knowing how to fight back? Well, your humiliation is over. In this video, you're going to learn to use the most brutal and honest philosophy ever created, that of Friedrich Nietzsche, to unmask these imposters. You're not going to learn to quote Nietzsche. You're going to learn to use Nietzsche as a hammer. This is the technique that separates creators from parrots. A rhetorical weapon so sharp that your opponent will self-destruct in front of everyone and you won't even have to raise your voice. Prepare for the ultimate intellectual knockout. Forget that image of Nietzsche as a sad, nihilistic guy with a mustache. That's what the weak want you to think. Nietzsche wasn't a library philosopher. He was a demolitions man. In his book, Twilight of the Idols, he said his job was to philosophize with a hammer. He didn't debate to find the truth together with others. He debated to smash false truths, hollow idols, and the weak ideas that made humanity sick. Nietzsche was the combat master who declared war on herd morality, on those who only repeat what they've heard without ever having a single original idea. The technique I'm going to teach you today is the hammer he used to break the intellectuals of his time, and it works perfectly today. We're going to call this technique the Hammer of Zarathustra. The philosophical foundation is simple and comes straight from books like Beyond Good and Evil and Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Nietzsche despised the herd man, the person who lacks the courage to create his own values and therefore hides behind the ideas of others. The false intellectual is the perfect definition of this. He doesn't have the will to power to create, he has ressentiment. He uses complexity as a shield because deep down he is weak and empty.
The Hammer of Zarathustra is a three-strike surgical operation to expose this emptiness. First move, the bait of admiration. The pseudo-intellectual lives on validation. You're going to give it to him. When he drops that complicated jargon, don't disagree, agree, feign admiration. Say, "Wow, that's fascinating." Or, "I like that perspective." Effect on the opponent? You've disarmed his defense. He was expecting resistance, but you lowered his guard and inflated his ego. He is vulnerable. Second strike, the test of origin. Here you separate the creator from the parrot. After praising him, you ask the fatal question. But don't ask what he means, ask why he thinks that way. Say, "Forget the authors you cited for a second. I want to know your opinion. What did you conclude? What was your original idea that led you to that thought?" Effect on the opponent? Panic. He doesn't have an original idea. He is a camel, as Zarathustra says, who only carries the weight of others' ideas. You asked him to be a lion, a creator, and he doesn't know how. He will stammer, hesitate, or try to quote another author.
Third attack, the strike of value. Now the finisher. If he tries to stall, you apply Nietzsche's final blow, the test of life. Ask, "Okay, I get the complexity, but what is the practical value of this idea? What is it for? Does it make life stronger, more potent? Or is it just, well, a pretty word game to impress others?" Effect on the opponent. This is the hammer blow. Nietzsche said in Twilight of the Idols that the value of something is measured by how much life it promotes. The false intellectual has never thought about this. His ideas don't serve life, they serve his vanity. The finish, the knockout by silence. He will have no answer. He will get defensive, say, "You are simplistic or ignorant." Don't attack back. Just say, "I see. So it's a very interesting quotation, but not a useful tool." The whole room noticed. You didn't humiliate him. You handed him the rope, and he hung himself. Absolute victory. Let's see the Hammer of Zarathustra in action. Imagine the scene. You're at a bar table, and that one acquaintance starts his intellectual show and tell to analyze the economic crisis. He blurts out, the problem is that people don't understand post-Keynesian liquidity. The current zeitgeist is one of an epistemic failure in neoliberalism. You people read too little." The table falls into an awkward silence. It's your time. You're not going to attack. You'll apply the first move, the bait of admiration. You say, "Man, epistemic failure in neoliberalism, that's heavy. I like it. Seriously, that's a perspective I'd never considered." There's the bait. His ego is inflated. He thinks he's beaten you. He even smirks, arrogant, and says, "Exactly. It's just as Foucault said." But you cut him off. Time for the second strike, the test of origin. No, hold on. Forget Foucault and Keynes. I want to know about you. What was your original thought on this? What event did you see in your day-to-day life that made you conclude the problem is an epistemic failure? Boom! The test of origin. You just took away his crutches. He immediately hesitates, clears his throat. Well, it's a complex analysis. You see, when capital flows, it's about the structure of power. He's dodging. He has no idea of his own. It's time for the final blow. You apply the third attack, the strike of value. Right, but let's get to it. This analysis of yours, what is it for? What does knowing about this zeitgeist change in practice? Does it help us pay our bills, create a better business, or is it just a fancy way of saying things are bad? And there it is, the hammer. You demanded value. You demanded the idea serve life. Visibly irritated, your opponent goes to the only defense he has left. Wow, what a simplistic view. You're being reductionist. Not everything is so pragmatic. It's the end. You apply the finisher with total calm. No, that's fine. I get it. It's an academic diagnosis. Very interesting. Game over. You didn't even break a sweat. He was exposed as a vain parrot. The silence at the table is your victory. Enemy on the floor. This technique is a complete arsenal. You just need to calibrate the hammer for different situations. Think about a work meeting. You know that colleague who only speaks in corporate buzzwords? We need more synergy in this brainstorming. Don't waste time. Use the strike of value directly. I love synergy, but how exactly is this synergy going to make us hit our quota this month? What is the practical action, the real value of this now? It's a clean knockout. Or in an online discussion, the paradise for pseudo-intellectuals. The guy pastes links from 5 different articles. Use the test of origin. Nice texts. Now, in the midst of all that, what is your opinion? Where does your idea begin and the quote end? Even in an academic setting where they have the home field advantage, you can be subtle. Use the strike of value with elegance. Professor, your thesis is brilliant, but what is its greater purpose? What current values does it challenge? Does it propose a new path for life, or is it a symptom of the intellectual decay that Nietzsche himself criticized? It's a philosophical checkmate. But pay attention to the main trap. Don't fall into the temptation of quoting Nietzsche. The moment you say, because as Nietzsche said, you've become the parrot you were trying to destroy. Use the tool, not the name. Now you have the hammer. The Hammer of Zarathustra isn't about who has read the most books. It's about who has the most courage. The courage to have an original thought. The courage to demand that ideas serve life, and not the other way around. Nietzsche taught us that the true overman, the Übermensch, is the one who creates his own values, while the last man is the cowardly intellectual, who only repeats what is safe. You are no longer a hostage to those who talk fancy. You are no longer an audience for someone else's vanity. You have the structure. You have the logic. You have the hammer. The next time a false intellectual tries to suck the air out of the room, you know exactly what to do. Smash the idols. Battle won.